Timberwolves, Raptors, and Grizzlies are all ferocious animals. Good enough for me to lump them into one off-season video. I practically had no choice.
We always have a choice.
Look, I'm trying to fit in all 30 teams before the draft.
I forgive you.
Thank you. Jeez. A little dramatic, though. Plus, all three of these teams have really interesting off seasons. Is Minnesota gonna listen to trades for D'Angelo Russell? How does Memphis use their 2 first-round picks? What do the Raptors do with OG Anunoby being so upset? First, though, the off-season basics. The Timberwolves and Raptors have no cap space. The Grizzlies could have up to $20 million if they let all their free agents go. We'll get to that. Exceptions, they all have the full mid-level and biannual. Needs, look, everybody needs like what, shooting and defense, but all these teams also need depth. Draft picks, the T-Wolves at 19, the Grizz with those 2 late firsts. The Raptors have no first-round pick. Good free agents, Thad Young and Chris Boucher for Toronto, Tyus Jones and Kyle Anderson for the Grizz. And how did these teams do last season? Every single one did better than projected and made the playoffs. Now, before we get to D'Angelo Russell's future, we have to talk about Karl Anthony Towns' Supermax. I am not a fan of Cat getting this deal. Dude made All-NBA third team, so now he can earn $230 million for 5 seasons. And if he didn't make All-NBA, it would just be $130 million for 3 years. And you know that they're gonna offer him the Supermax. I mean, they've got no choice. Cat is, yes, a super talented offensive player. Offering less would just piss him off and maybe lose him. But Cat's defense especially makes me nervous. This will be a bad deal down the road. But you know what won't be? Ja Morant. He deserves max money, and he's gonna get the 5-year Luka deal if he makes All-NBA next year. It's a no-brainer for the Grizzlies. Do not be surprised when this Woj bomb comes across your phone. The real problem is their own free agents. Kyle Anderson is a good vet who would be nice to bring back, but Tyus Jones is underrated. He has led the NBA in assist-to-turnover ratio 4 years in a row. A huge reason they were so good whenever Ja was injured. Do they use this money to bring Tyus Jones and Slow-Mo back, or have $20 million in cap space to just bring in another player? Guys they could get with that $20 million. Jalen Brunson, Colin Sexton, Miles Bridges. I think all 3 of those guys could raise their ceiling, and Memphis should try to go after them, but if not, definitely bring back their own free agents. Next up is OG Anunoby's future in Toronto. Bleacher Report says, word has circulated that Anunoby grew dissatisfied at times with his role in Toronto. Fine, OG. Toronto needs a star center, so if another team wants to make that deal, I think it makes sense. The teams that are apparently interested are the Jazz and the Blazers. The obvious deal would involve Rudy Gobert. The Raptors get Gobert and BJ Boston. The Jazz get OG, Gary Trent Jr., a 2026 first. The Clippers get the Raptors 2024 first. The Clips have to be involved here because Toronto needs to replace Gary Trent's offense. The Clippers don't need like an up-and-coming guard. They need more trade ammo. And with the Raptors first here, they can go out, package Marcus Morris for a win-now player. Gobert and Siakam make one of the best defensive front courts in the NBA. It takes 2 good players and 2 picks to get him, but honestly, that's low when you look at trades for other All-NBA players. The Blazers apparently want OG. I don't see a realistic trade out there. But I don't think this is gonna happen anyway. This rumor was probably started by other front offices who want to try to poach OG because he's one of the best young 2-way wings in the league. Now, before the T-Wolves trades, what about the draft? The only excitement would be if Minnesota or Memphis trades their picks. The Grizz front office has a great draft history. Maybe they can find 2 prospects late in the draft, but honestly, like, we have no idea who that would be. It is so hard to identify guys late in the draft. Like, kudos for the Pelicans identifying Herb Jones in the second round, but that never happens. The best case scenario would be for the Wolves to trade up from 19 to snag Mark Williams. He is a 7-foot center from Duke who would be a great backup, but I don't think they can pull that trade off. Instead, they package the pick with D'Angelo Russell to upgrade. Now, I made an entire video on why D'Lo should be traded, and what do you know? Minnesota agrees. He was benched in their closeout game against Memphis.
With how the final game went, were you okay kind of watching from the bench at the end of there, or just did you want to be in there?
No, not at all.
Yeah, he's pissed. And before you say, oh, they would never trade D'Lo, he's boys with Cat. This isn't Cat's team anymore. It's Anthony Edwards' team. Plus, they just hired a new front office. They don't care what the previous GM did. They want to win now. D'Lo can and should be traded. The problem is his contract. D'Lo has a max deal, but it is expiring, so moving him won't be impossible. The Wizards get D'Angelo Russell in the 19th pick. The T-Wolves get Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Denny Avila, plus Ish Smith and Vernon Carey to make the money work, and the 10th pick. This would be a dream scenario for Minnesota. KCP and Denny up their defense. And at 10, they can snag Mark Williams at center. Why would the Wizards do this? Well, they do it to make like a mini big three with Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and D'Lo. Bradley Beal can sign an extension. They want to show Beal, look, we are trying to compete right now with you, so we are getting win now players. Next up is free agent targets for all three teams, and they all have that full $10.3 million mid-level, which can get a pretty impact player. So first, let's recap what all these teams need. The Wolves need defense and depth. The Raptors really need a center and depth. And the Grizzlies need depth and front court help. My top free agent target for each team. For the Wolves, PJ Tucker. Why not get another defensive-minded vet to play with Patrick Beverley? Tucker is looking for that one last payday, and Minnesota wants win-now players. The Raptors, Jalen Smith. He is an unrestricted free agent, and the Raptors can definitely get him with the right offer. He disappointed as the 10th overall pick, but was really good in his last few games with the Suns and definitely in that stint with the Pacers. The Pacers can only offer him like $6 million, so the Raptors can swoop in and get their young center for the future. For the Grizzlies, Malik Monk. The Lakers can also only offer him like $6 million, so Memphis could sign him. He was probably the best part about the Lakers season last year. Such a smart move from Malik to take that minimum deal, bet on himself, and I think it paid off. In Memphis, I know he's not the best defender, but they have a lot of great team defense around Malik, and his shooting around Ja Morant would go a long way, especially if he was willing to come off the bench. We will fit in all 30 teams before the NBA draft because it's like draft and then free agency really picks up, and so really the off seasons are off and running at that point. So we're gonna get all of them in. Tell me which three teams you want to see next. People are always requesting them. The Raptors was like probably the most requested team. We got them in today. Until then, check out the off-season playlist and catch up on the teams that you haven't seen yet.